Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. In this video I'd like to kind of do an update of my character and where I'm at now and basically how I got there. This video won't entirely get up to date to where I'm exactly at right now because I did some grinding in the previous days and it would just be a really long video if I did it entirely up till now. Anyway, so what I did basically directly after the video I just did, the one episode 2, I basically went on then to finish the Black Lake zone. While you're doing the Black Lake district zone, you can obtain a free inventory bag and therefore gain that more inventory space. And finally, to conclude the Black Lake district, essentially you then go on to obtain the Crown of Neverwinter, essentially retrieve it back from the Nashers. Then I went on to complete the Invocation Quest. Essentially, you learn all about invoking your god, depending on which god you chose when you were creating your character. It doesn't matter what god you chose, all of them will give you the exact same rewards. You will obtain this quest from Sergeant Knox when you hit level 10, and essentially you'll be able to invoke 6 times a day. However, if you don't have VIP, you will only be able to invoke when you're in a campfire or in an altar, or there's some other altars as well anyway. You'll just have to pop back to a campfire and you should be able to invoke there. You should see it on the top right there. There should be a timer, or if there's no timer then you'll be able to invoke. The default button there being, I believe, Control I. To invoke that way. I've changed it to a different button, but you can also just click on it with your mouse. The most sought after thing through invoking which you can obtain is from the coffers of celestial artifacts. This is what I mentioned by obtaining those celestial coins. You can obtain 2 of them per day, and you can spend 11 of them to buy one of these coffers. You want to buy the coffer of celestial artifacts since you can obtain wards from it. You can obtain a preservation ward, or you can obtain coalescent wards. Coalescent wards is one you want to be getting. They are worth at least 700,000 Azure diamonds on the auction house. However, of course, this cost will vary, but the chance to get one is fairly low. I believe it could be around 5%, not sure exactly. Moving on, I went then to start the campaign Staff of Savros. Now, this campaign is no longer available to any of you who's going to be starting a new character. This campaign got removed in a recent patch there, with it coming all the changes to the mounts. So I went ahead and started this campaign with the attempt to complete it before this patch went live so I could obtain the rewards through it. However, there is no particularly need to, because you can obtain these rewards now through the Adventurer's reward packs, which you will obtain initially through just leveling. Every odd level or so, you will be able to open this pack again, and you'll gain a new pack with it and a multitude of different rewards. In this, you'll be able to obtain all the rewards that you could from the Staff of Savros campaign. Anyway, with that, the campaign leads you directly to the Tower District. However, you will obtain a quest from Sergeant Knox, which will also tell you to go to the Tower District. So, I go to the Tower District, I follow the main quest line, picking up the quests from him, and also, with my campaign quest, I gather up these orb shards for that campaign. I gather up a total of 40 of them, and that completes that initial part of that campaign. You then go ahead to put all the shards together and finally creating your orb. Then, after doing a certain amount of quests in the Tower District, I went on and got a bit bored, so I went and did my first random queue on this character. And of course, you just get the Cloak Tower. The Cloak Tower dungeon is very simple. You just follow the group, kill the mobs, you'll encounter 2 bosses as you go along, and then there'll be one at the very end. This boss at the very end is actually pretty challenging. She does a decent amount of damage, and she has, oh my god, a shit ton of HP. So it'll take you a while to burn her down. Just make sure the person who is aggro, you keep their health up if you're the healer. As the tank, I'm not level 30 yet, so I don't actually have a tank paragon, and therefore I don't have abilities that can increase my threat. I don't have hard taunts and whatnot, and therefore there's no way I can possibly hold the aggro. Anyway, with that aside, we managed to do it with our group. It was a bit iffy, but it took some time, but we did it. You defeat her and you'll gain these seals as you go along through the dungeon. I believe they're called Seals of the Adventure. I'll go on later to explain what you could use them for. Anyway, I'll go ahead then to refine my rough AD, and conveniently I'm right beside a bounty hunter. Now, these bounty hunters should be in most of the zones that you go through while you're leveling. As you can see, when I'm killing mobs in the Tower District, I gain these many arrows insignias. Now, this is the currency for the bounty hunter, and from the bounty hunter you can obtain different gear. Now, these gear items, you may not even have any. I believe I don't have a neck slot item, so I decided I'd go and buy one from him. Generally, these items should be of your level or lower, and therefore you should be able to equip them. I recommend just buying the ones that you don't have, or if they're significantly better than the gear you have already, go ahead and buy them as well. Other than that, you can also buy the little packs, which will just give you a few refinement items and whatnot. It's not particularly anything that's of great use. Anyway, then I went on to doing the How Enchanting Quest. This quest will essentially show you the basics of enchanting. Basically, you'll go to this lady here, she'll give you a ring, and she'll request you to refine the enchantment that's in that ring. Now, this enchantment is really low level. Anyway, you go ahead and you spend like a few refinement points, and then you go to upgrade it with the reagents that she gives you. Now, when you go to much higher ranks of enchantments, you will need much more different types of like wards to protect the reagents that you use. The chance that you will get a success reduces the higher rank you go up, and therefore you will need different kind of wards to protect it, to protect the reagents, and so you aren't expending in like tons of the reagents. For example, preservation wards would be used when your percentages get down to like 3%, 2%, and then you would use a coalescent ward just to initially get that 100%. It's all mathematically based on cost and expenses and whatnot for you. I'll go much more in depth later on. Anyway, all you really do to complete the quest is you refine that enchantment up one rank, and that's basically it. I don't recommend doing anything of any other enchantments. What you want to do is you want to go to this lady here, this seals vendor. This seals vendor will sell you different types of enchantments along with gear for your level. Now, initially, what you kind of want to do from her is buy rank 5 Azure Enchantments. You should be able to buy them for free with the seals that you obtain by doing your random dungeon queue. Probably just be Cloak Tower at the initial levels all the time. Anyway, you buy those Azure Enchantments. The reason for this is that they will give you bonus to experience gain. However, initially you will have no place to slot them. What you want to do is get gear that will have utility slots. So this will be like your head, your arms, your feet, neck and waist slots. These can all have utility slots. However, I believe you need to get to level 30 or higher to actually obtain gear that can slot them. So initially you just buy those rank 5 Azure Enchantments. And then you go on, and once you actually hit that level 30 and start obtaining the gear with those slots, you can then slot them in. However, the cost to remove them from those slots is actually a significant amount. So generally you just leave it in that slot and not switch the gear around till you get a much higher gear piece to put there. Anyway, moving on, I then went back to the Staff of Severus campaign store from your lady here, and I essentially bought my Stone of Health, my retraining tokens, and I also bought a Minstrel Companion from her, using the currency that you obtain while you complete those tasks in that campaign. Again, I will mention, for you guys starting out new again, this campaign won't be available to you guys. It will have been removed. I then went on to complete a companion quest. Basically, you are given a choice of multiple different companions which you can obtain. I just chose to get the dog. It doesn't really particularly matter any companion you take there. None of them are really good, and they're pretty all terrible. So just obtain one that kind of fit your playstyle and your character, basically. I just didn't really want another person, you could say, following me around. I much prefer having a pet, like a dog. Anyway, I then went on to go and do the Linkletter storyline. Essentially, there's this whole drama between Joseph Linkletter and Dorothea Linkletter, where Dorothea's plague scarred. Basically, you have to get her out of the city. You have to transport her through these sewers. And basically, if she enters combat, or she gets close enough to enemies, she'll start panicking. You have to give her a potion so she doesn't turn evil, start attacking you. And so basically what you want to do is make sure you run ahead of her and kill the mobs quick enough so that she doesn't get panicked when she comes close to the monsters. Anyway, you lead her through that, and then you go on to, you have to fight some weird monsters. You have some other storyline, the NPCs talk to you and whatnot. I then went on to unlocking the Black Lake District, mainly through the Staff of Severus campaign. You will also get a quest from, I believe, Sergeant Knox when you hit level 18, which will also unlock that zone. However, I'm led to that zone through the Staff of Severus campaign because I need to collect these orb thingies, using my orb apparently to spot them. Anyway, I enter into the zone and it immediately gives me a warning I'm not powerful enough, and you can see why here. I go into combat with these monsters and my god, they just start smashing me and I'm dealing next to no damage to them. So what I have to do then is secretly traverse around them, try and pick up those orb things before they hit me to cancel my picking up, and it was a bit of a nightmare. I only had a few hours left before the maintenance was going to happen, and I just really wanted to get this campaign done so I'd get the free bag for storage from it. Anyway, I go ahead and I managed to successfully do so within enough time, and finally go ahead to complete that campaign, giving me that more currency and that free bag. The bag only has very few slots in it, so it wasn't actually that big a deal of me to get it, but I just kind of wanted to, especially to obtain that free currency, which then I went on to buy 2 more minstrels and the horse mount with. I went and looked on the auction house, and minstrels, they're going up in price because of this campaign. This campaign is no longer available for low level characters, and therefore you cannot freely obtain these minstrels anymore. You used to be able to purchase from the store and they won't be bound to your account. I believe the minstrel that you obtain now, which actually I did in a later time, which I'll show you, you obtain actually from those adventure packs, and it will be bound to your character, so therefore you won't be able to sell it like the other minstrels. So yes, the minstrel will go up in price. So what I'm going to do is save the 3 that I have and sell them at a later date. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hopefully it was a bit enjoyable, and maybe you learned a few tips and tricks along the way, and hopefully it was relatively straightforward and clear what I have been progressing with my character. I intend to be fully transparent in the progress of my character, so you can easily copy what I do and see how I do it, so you don't end up wasting your time on certain things. Anyway, I apologize again for the sounding of my voice. It's a bit off, I know. I'm still recovering from a really bad tonsillitis and sickness. Anyway, hopefully I presented this well. If I did, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye for now.